Hello, everyone. Soon, on the 11th of January, we are going to have a Capricorn New Moon at 22 degrees of Capricorn. And this is, of course, the first new moon for the civil year. It's always in Capricorn, obviously. And what's interesting is that new moons are usually about new beginnings, new commencement, whatever you want to start. It's always good if you put it on a new moon. And Capricorn, which is the third of the earth signs, so it's one of the so-called manifestation signs, is really about building structures, securing bases. If you take a look at the three earth signs, in Taurus, we just want to feel good and we want to take part in anything that is pleasurable on the earth plane. In Virgo, we are actually questioning the things that our human senses are conveying for us, whether it's valid or not. The human senses only give us a very narrow manifestation of the world around us, simply because they are very limited. So it's a limited understanding, and that's why Virgo people are so cantankerous and sometimes quite negative, but usually very critical, because they want to understand what's going on around them. It's still very dark, by the way, outside, and my voice is not yet proper. I'm an early riser, and if I don't talk for at least half an hour, my voice is going away. But I'm trying to. I'm hoping not to this time. Anyhow, and in Capricorn, Earth reaches its highest manifestation, which is about building structures. Think about the fact that Capricorn commences with the winter solstice. So that is the shortest day, the longest night. That is when light is turning. And from then on, light is slowly beginning to grow. Interestingly enough, as I'm recording this a couple of days before the Capricorn New Moon, I already notice a little bit longer daylight. In Budapest, I'm actually now located in Budapest. In Budapest, the sun is rising, was rising around the solstice around 7:30, and now it's only 7:28. So we gained already 2 minutes in the morning, which is brilliant. I can't hope. I can't wait for bright mornings. I love mornings. I'm a morning person. So back to Capricorn. If you take a look at the zodiacal signs, there are two among them which are very, very keen on some sort of personal achievement. And one is Leo and the other one is Capricorn. So whenever we have a Capricorn signature, it usually says about the person that he is very hardworking, determined, and able to create something, and wants to create something that is beyond the human ordinary. Let's take a look at the London chart, which is right here. As you can see, the Capricorn New Moon will be exact on January the 11th at 11:57 a.m., so practically at noon. And what struck me in this chart, and I'm not going to really deal with the rest of it, I'm going to concentrate on placements that are really highlighted. This particular chart has two intertwining structures, and one is a Karmic Cage. The northern axis is squared by the new moon, exactly squared, and an intertwining Grand Trine, an Earth Grand Trine. As you know, Grand Trines are not very useful sometimes, because a trine is a lazy pattern, and grand trines are even lazier because there's no energies for really, there's nothing moving in it. It's just one element, and one element in itself cannot really move stuff. But among the four, Earth is the most usable, utilizable. So we really like the fact that this is happening. Let's take a look at this structure, which I was playing around with the name because, yeah, it looks like a Christmas tree. We are just past Christmas, so obviously this came into mind. But it also looks as a double arrowhead, if you consider it. I think the Scottish had something like that. Their arrows look like this. The Scythians, for sure, this was a very dangerous weapon. Once it went in, it was very, very hard to take out. It stretched the human tissues and tore them. So it's not a very easy weapon, so to speak. So we have two metaphors. One is about peace and love, and the other one is about destruction and fight, interestingly. And this is exactly what you have with the uh, cardinal Karmic Cage and the Earth Grand Trine. Let's take a look. Let's take this apart. So you will have the nodal axis and the Sun-Moon conjunction, which simply means that, okay, you have a dilemma here, whether you are going to take a look at what you're bringing in, which is Libra, which is diplomacy and balance and being very nice and content and trying to look for everyone and trying to be very objective and logical, or you're going to go in and fight for what's yours, fight for what's you, and you create something completely new. And this is exactly what the Sun Moon is pushing you towards. And then with the Grand Trine, again, the Sun Moon is making a trine with Uranus, renewal, change for any renewal, but of course it could mean chaos as well. But at the moment, Uranus is retrograde, so it's a little bit subdued. And then Juno, which means your partner, your significant partner, someone who is serious and committed. So any committed and serious relationship is labeled by Juno, but also all sorts of pacts and agreements and covenants and contracts are also Juno. So in the mundane world, Juno doesn't mean your partner or your spouse. It means your alliances. And in this particular case, if you want something new, new moon in Capricorn, you want to build structures, real new structures in the world out there, you need to change stuff around your commitments. This is what it means. And this is how the two things are intertwined. And the tension of the karmic cage is released by the Grand Trine. And as usual, I took a look at what else is there. And of course, every planetary picture has an orb of maximum 2 degrees. If the nodes or any of the angles are also within it, it's 1.5 degrees, because these are non-radiating factors or participants. And but the scale of the orb could go two ways. So actually, when this particular new moon is at 21, 22 degrees Capricorn, it means that anything around 19 degrees or 23 degrees could also come in to the picture. The problem is that if you have a complex planetary picture, you will have stuff which is not going to close and other stuff which is. This is the case with this planetary picture, where actually there's one corner that is not going to close. The Juno South Node is not manifesting as a semi-sextile because the orb is too wide. It's about 3 degrees, and semi-sextile has a 1.5 degree orb anyway. Plus, this is the South Node, which is a non-radiating point in space. So this is what you have. Actually, what I did not put in is the kite. It's actually an earth water kite, if you look at it, because the Uranus Pallas Athena opposition gives this particular grand trine a push. And because you have the necessary energy of the complementary element to Earth is water, of course. And Pallas Athena could be also regarded as the feminine counterpart of Uranus. Pallas Athena is the feminine counterpart actually for 3 planets, Mercury, Mars, and Uranus. If you compare to Mercury, then Pallas Athena is not just everyday discourse, but wisdom and feminine wisdom. If you compare to Mars, Mars is wars, Pallas Athena is defense. And with Uranus, Uranus is change, but sometimes chaotic processes, and Pallas Athena is wise, controlled changes and processes. So that's why this is quite interesting that you have the anchor point as Pallas Athena. There's also a boomerang right here with Uranus and Pallas Athena at their middle, and Ceres and South Node. And there's another yod actually here with Pallas Athena, Juno, and North Node. So you can see that I did not include all the structures that you can find here because there are too many. I mean, there are really a lot. I mean, a number of ones. This is a little platform here. There's another platform here with Sun, North Node, Uranus, and Ceres, and a tiny platform with Sun, Moon, Ceres, Pallas Athena, and South Node right there. So platforms are stepping up the stuff. What we do have here is the boomerang, and Ceres and South Node indicate that in order to keep your family, your loved ones, your nurturing principles at bay or floating in these times, you need to tap into what you brought in from previous incarnations regarding the South Node. There's also a mutable fire engine with Ceres, Juno, and North Node. It is a mutable square with a fire trine. The fire trine is about transformation. It's the North Node and Ceres. And so again, the nurturing principle and your family, your homeland, your nation, your tribe, and North Node, what you need to learn from this for this incarnation, what your accepted destiny choice is for this time. There's also a mutable Earth engine with Ceres, Juno, and Uranus. So here the trine is Earth, and the square is still the mutable one. The mutable square is between Ceres and Juno, and Ceres is the mother and Juno is the spouse, but also it means change, because it's a mutable square, change your covenants, change your contracts, change your alliances in order to keep your family, your nation, your tribe in such circumstances around. And there's also a cardinal Earth engine. The cardinal square is, of course, half of the cardinal karmic cage between the North Node and the Sun Moon, and the trine is to Juno, again, pacts and contracts and covenants. So this is the complex planetary picture. And as I said, you can find many other structures if you take a closer look. And here the transcendental celestial objects. And what struck me as interesting was the fact that the sun and the moon don't have any, and neither has the South Node. So it simply means it's very fascinating because, as you know, the transcendental celestial objects provide you with the karmic layers, the deep karmic, the hidden karmic layers. And in this sense, Capricorn doesn't need any. It says that, okay, I'm going to build structures with this new moon. And no, I don't want anything from the past. I don't want, well, of course he does, because the South Node is something that you bring in from the past. But still, again, this South Node doesn't have any added features, and nor does the Sun Moon. The rest does, though. So we can read the rest. In Uranus, you have Buddha, enlightenment. On North Node, you have Lachesis and Shiva. This Shiva with a W, spelled with a W, is not the destroyer in the Trimurti, but a Slavonic love goddess, so something like a Venus. And Lachesis is the middle of the fates, who is measuring your life. When a new soul wants to come down to the earth plane, he chooses his diamond and goes up to the fates and tells them what he wants to accomplish. And then Clotho is going to give her the threads, going to make the threads. Lachesis is the one who measures it, and then Atropos is the one who cuts it into the proper piece. So that's the most important of the fates. And North Node, Lachesis means that you are actually creating your own fate at the moment. And on Ceres, you have Apophis and Child. Child, of course, is child. And on Ceres, it's prominent. Of course, it's the nurturing principle in a double way. And Apophis was the snake that in Egyptian mythology swallowed the it's a celestial snake that swallows the sun. And yes, it is um, our you can see it's happening, okay? If you don't pay attention to your loved ones and your children and your family and your tribe and your nation, you might be swallowed by negative energies. Of course, then Apophis is spitting out the sun and everything is restored, but still, it's the danger of being swallowed. And on Pallas Athena, you have Sisyphus, which means that to remain wise and to have to arrive at good decisions may sound or may be a very futile and difficult job, but we still need to do it. And on Juno, you have Nyx, the night, and Denebola, which is Beta Leo. If you look at the celestial lion, it is it's the tail. It represents the tail. So the whole constellation of lion is linked to royalty and reign and sovereignty, and Denebola is linked to instinctual sovereignty, how you instinctually ruling stuff and reigning over stuff. There's another thing that I didn't want to make a separate video on. We can actually look at it now because the same the Chiron Venus trine, fire trine, is becoming exact on the same day, just a little bit earlier. So it's the same energy pattern really. And my master Judy Hall called Chiron Venus aspects, she labeled them as love hurts. And she kept saying this for about 2 years when in Glastonbury, I told her, since I have a square, so love hurts. Yeah, right. Yeah, love hurts. True. But I told her that, could you please give us some sort of hope? Yeah, love hurts. Can you rephrase it or reframe it in another way? Because Chiron is not just our karmic wounds, but also how to heal from the karmic wounds and what you're going to do with them, whether you're going to turn them into phobias and all kinds of scares and threats, or are you going to turn them into unique traits and talents? And she looked at me and she said, okay, here it is. Love is going to be a redeeming factor. I said, yes, this is it. So actually, this is a trine and it's a fire trine, and fire is the element of transformation. And yes, this particular new moon, when you're building new structures, actually could help you to uh, release old karmic wounds around your love, your money, how prosperity, how your well-being, how you carry yourself. And as I always say, if you don't learn to love yourself, who is going to love you? Who do you expect to love you? If you're unable to love your own self, and this is exactly this energy pattern. And what's thrown into the picture with this karmic engine is the dark moon Lilith, which is the second turning point, the middle of the Lilith myth. And this is the energy when Lilith is accepting the curse of Yahweh and she doesn't care. And it's not being cursed. It's not the energy of being cursed, not the notion of being cursed. It's rather a behavior pattern when I know what I need to do and I know I'm right and I'm going to do it. I don't care even if you curse me. So that's the attitude of so that's what you can utilize in this transformation process with Venus and Chiron. Let's take a look at the transcendental objects. As you can see, all three have fixed stars, so it's quite prominent. The energy is opening up to universal levels. And on Venus, you have the great attractor, which is the middle something of Laniakea, a cluster of galaxies, a huge cluster of galaxies. And usually galaxies have there in their middle some sort of black hole, either a supermassive black hole or a cluster of supermassive black holes. And the great attractor doesn't look like one. It does swallow the nearby galaxies in big quantities, but it lets out something else on the other side, but we can't really see what it is. So that is why astronomers call this a galactic anomaly, because it's not obviously a black hole. And in karmic astrology, the great attractor is a is one of the it's carrying one of the main dilemmas in 3D. How much free will do we have, and what is determined? So fate and free will dilemmas. And on Chiron you have Alpheratz. Alpheratz is the second healing word of suicide victims. The very first one is Sheat, which is at Pisces 29 degrees, and the fresh victims, suicide victims, are being taken there because this is a horrible shock to the soul, to the human psyche, that you are confronted with the fact that you effectively destroyed the vehicle that was carrying you in this 3D world. And the second healing word is Alpheratz, where we learn to move again, where we learn to actually find a way to move forward in 3D. And Lilith has quite a lot, the Dark Moon Lilith has quite a lot of things. You have Boethius, philosopher. Narcissus, love yourself. Yes. So the whole Chiron Venus is about how you love yourself. And then Baba Vareza, which is a Zulu creator goddess. She is linked to what I call nature protection and creation protection. So it doesn't have to do with environmental protection. Forget it. It's bull. You have to protect creation itself, and that is what this particular TNO is linked to. And then Zuben Ergonubi is one of the scales in Libra, and it's the alpha star of Libra, and it is linked to positive social changes and reforms. That's what we learn. And what I wanted to show you, and actually to draw your attention to, is the fact that at the moment, by the way, both the moon and Mars are out of bounds. But as you can see, the moon is really, really out of bounds, 26 degrees 46 to the south. So the sun, of course, obviously is on the ecliptic. The ecliptic itself is the path of the sun. So yes, you will always find the sun on the ecliptic. But the moon is a lot more to the south. So if we could look up, obviously can't, because whatever is around the sun is not visible to the naked eye. Otherwise, you're going to burn your eyesight. But if we could look up, this is what we would see, that the moon is further to the south. So they are actually physically not conjunct. They are conjunct on in a longitude degree, but not in a declinational degree. If they were the same declination, that would be a solar eclipse. I think that's what we have here. So happy new moon. Try to think about building structures. Get rid of your karmic wounds that are too painful, and concentrate on what you want to build. Try to build solid structures, solid bases on which your whole year could ride. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.